Hello and welcome. Today we're diving into Psalm 64. This is such a raw and powerful psalm right from the heart of King David. It's really a prayer for anyone who's ever felt the sting of secret attacks, the whispers and the slander. And it gives us this incredible roadmap for finding peace and trusting God, even when things feel chaotic. So let's get into it.
Have you ever had that feeling, that pit in your stomach, that anxiety when you just know people are talking behind your back, maybe spreading rumors or even plotting against you? It's a really unique and painful feeling, isn't it? Well, King David, he knew it all too well. And this psalm, this is his response, and it's a blueprint for our response too. So where does David even begin? You might think he'd start with a big curse on his enemies or, list out everything they've done wrong, but he doesn't. He starts with his own heart. He starts with his own internal battle. He begins with a prayer against fear itself. Just listen to how specific he is here. He says, "Preserve my life from fear of the enemy." He's not just asking for protection from what they might do, but from the fear of what they might do. He gets that the emotional torment, that anxiety and dread, can be just as crippling as any physical threat. This is such a powerful act of faith. David is being completely honest, laying his vulnerability right out there before God. And that's where true trust really begins to grow. He's basically saying, God, I'm scared. I need you to guard my heart from this thing that's trying to destroy me. It's a great reminder for us that our first move when we feel anxious should be to just voice it directly to God and ask for his peace. And then David names the source of his fear. He prays, "Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked." Listen to those words, secret counsel. This isn't some open, head-on battle. No, this is a conspiracy. It's a malicious plan being cooked up in the shadows. So here's the thing. The threat is hidden. David can't see every plot. He can't hear every lie and counter it. And honestly, neither can we. But our confidence isn't in our own ability to play detective. It's in God's power to hide us, his power that sees perfectly into the darkest corners where all these human schemes are being made. All right, now David gets even more specific. He starts to describe the actual weapons his enemies are using against him, and they're probably not what you'd expect a warrior king to be worried about. Wow, just listen to this powerful imagery. They whet their tongue like a sword to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. This is not just some idle gossip. This is weaponized speech. It's deliberate, sharpened, and carefully aimed to wound someone from a distance. And this just taps into such a deep biblical truth. Words have real power, the power to build up and the power to absolutely destroy. The book of James even calls the tongue full of deadly poison, and David is feeling that poison firsthand. So what's the lesson for us? When we're attacked with words, our response isn't to sharpen our own tongue, but to hand our defense over to God completely. And you see, these are cowardly attacks. They're ambushes. They're aimed at the perfect, which just means someone who's innocent in the matter. The attacker strikes suddenly, out of nowhere, and here's the kicker. They fear not. They have no reverence for God, no second thoughts about the consequences. They're just arrogant in their sin. And this is the core of their arrogance. They get together, they pump each other up in their evil plans, and they comfort themselves with this one single fatal question. Who's gonna see us? They are absolutely convinced their actions are hidden. But right here, this is where the whole psalm pivots. The entire situation is about to get flipped completely on its head by a power they foolishly decided to ignore. They asked a question, and now God is about to give them an answer. That's right. No matter how deep they hide their plans, no matter how quiet their whispers are, God sees. He sees every plot, he hears every single lie, and he knows every single heart. And here it is, the great reversal. Just as they were shooting their arrows of bitter words, God shoots his arrow of justice. Their sudden attack is met with his sudden judgment. And in an instant, the hunters, they become the hunted. And you have to just appreciate the perfect divine irony of God's justice here. The very weapon they chose to use, their own tongue, becomes the thing that brings them down. I mean, this isn't just poetic, it's a spiritual principle in action. You reap what you sow. Their whole web of lies and slander just collapses right on top of them, and their own words end up exposing their own evil. So, how are God's people supposed to react when they see this kind of divine justice play out? Well, the psalm now shifts from judgment to the right response for those of us who are watching. See, God's actions are meant to be a public lesson. When people see this happen, they won't just brush it off as luck or a coincidence. No, they'll be filled with this reverent awe, and they'll declare that was the work of God. It will make them think deeply about his justice. And this really gives us a mission, doesn't it? When God delivers us from something, we have a responsibility to share that story, to give him the glory. Our testimony becomes a way for other people to see God's character, not just as an idea, but as a real, lived experience.
And here we have the beautiful conclusion. The ultimate outcome isn't about getting revenge or gloating over our enemies, it's about relationship. The righteous find their gladness in the Lord. That painful experience has actually produced a deeper trust in him, a greater joy, and a reason to boast, not in ourselves, but in our great God.
So, this is all great. But how do we apply this ancient psalm to our lives today when we're the ones facing those secret attacks? Let's try and break it down into 4 really practical steps.
Okay, first, just like David, voice your fear directly to God. Don't pretend you're not anxious, tell him. Second, trust in his unseen protection over all those secret plots you can't see. Third, and this one's hard, when your name is attacked, entrust your reputation to him instead of trying to fight back with your own words. And finally, when he brings you through it, make sure you declare his work so that others can see just how faithful he is.
This is the goal right here. It's not just about surviving an attack, it's about coming through it with a joy that is more rooted in God and a trust that is way stronger than it was before. And that's a promise of peace and confidence, no matter what whispers might come your way.
This devotional was brought to you by the You Need Faith in Jesus team. We really hope this look into Psalm 64 has been an encouragement to you today.